Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm sitting down with City Manager Tom Hall, and we're going to talk about some of the ongoings of the city, and this is the man that knows all about that. Tom, welcome to the show.
Well, glad to be here. It's been, I've been city manager now for, I think this is my 20th year. So
It's been a long time. I remember when I started with up in City Hall there, you had just come back from Marlboro, I believe it was.
That's right. I started in LaGrange when I got out of graduate school and worked here for 6 years as the assistant manager, and I left for about 3 years, and luckily the city council lost their memory and asked me to come back after about 3 years up in Atlanta. So this is home. It's
a pleasure to have you back too, Tom. To be in city government, like a lot of people who may not be familiar with city government, you're the man that have the finger on the pulse. Talk a little bit about your role as the city manager.
Well, I work for the mayor and council, and the mayor, as everyone's aware, is elected at large. The council are elected by districts, serving staggered 4-year terms. But as the city manager, I'm basically the only person that is directly accountable to the mayor and council. Everybody else in some form or fashion works for me, right, through department heads or what have you. But I'm the chief operating and administrative officer of the city, and I work at the pleasure of the mayor and council. And so that's pretty much my role.
Great job too, isn't it?
It's fun. It's the best job in the world. I could not be any happier with what I do for a living.
Absolutely. You talked about departments, Tom, and I know that again, we work in city government every day, and we know the different departments, but to the general public, sometimes they may not be familiar with the various departments that make up the city. Talk a little bit about that.
So I've got, I think it's 8 folks that are directly accountable or reportable to me. Mm-hmm. Yourself as one, as community development director. And then there is fire and police, which we've consolidated over the years into a Department of Public Safety. There's economic development.
That's right.
There is information technology, which is a growing actually business, as well as the internal needs of the information systems of the city and the various things that goes on there. There's public services, which is streets and sanitation and sewer and that sort of thing. There's public utilities,
that's right,
which is gas and water and electric. There's finance, Mrs. Kelsey, who handles finance and personnel and the administrative end of the city. So all in all, it's a great working team. We all sort of work right out of the same room, more or less, up at City Hall on the 3rd floor.
That's right.
So we don't have to have a lot of staff meetings. We pretty much just yell at each other across the room and figure out what we need to do each day.
That creative madness, right?
It's fun.
That's absolutely.
We don't have offices. It's very informal. Folks that have never been to City Hall, if you ever have reason to go or experience it, it's unlike you would think about a bunch of government offices and people in their little fiefdoms and what have you. I don't have an office. We just have a room, and all of us share that room, and it allows us to do our business efficiently, quickly. We don't make a lot of mistakes because nobody knows what's going on, because all day is just a constant communication process.
That's right.
It works out pretty well.
Absolutely. And we sit there and we can thank one of my predecessor for coming up with that idea, to having that open, office atmosphere, and we do get a lot of things done there.
We actually stole that. Your predecessor, Joe Maltese, who's a great friend, he actually is not the inventor of that. We actually stole that from Milliken.
Oh, okay.
If you went out prior to when they moved out of the design center, but the managers there, it's the same exact concept.
Okay.
They didn't have offices, they didn't have fiefdoms, they just all worked in a room and they figured it out. And it's quick, it's easy, and it's quite frankly, we have some laughs, as you know.
Yes.
At the end of the day, though, it's serious business.
That's
we never
right.
lose track of the importance of what it is we're doing. But we have a couple of laughs along the way, and it helps the days go by.
Absolutely. Great working environment. And talking about serious business, we want to talk a little bit about the annual budget, because unbelievable, there's a lot of money that goes through this city, and most people probably don't realize what it takes to run a city in a day, and you know that firsthand. Talk a little bit about that.
The city budget this year is up a little bit, primarily because of capital projects. It's $127 million during the course of a year. That's more than $300,000 a day.
300.
So the City of LaGrange is big business. We employ, about 420 people. As you're aware, we're a fully integrated utility as well as a city government. And so it costs a fair bit of money to run it. We have run it for the last 18 years without any property taxes. We do get sales taxes, but the provision of enterprises, be that electric utility, natural gas, water, sewer, telecommunications, commercial sanitation, what have you, that accounts for about 83 million of that 127 of the budget. So the vast majority of what we do is the provision of enterprises. But it works well. Our fees are very competitive. Our rates are very competitive. And again, we don't have taxes, but it's a substantial business.
It absolutely is. Again, for the most lay person to know that $300,000 a day to operate the city, that's kind of unfathomable, for somebody to kind of realize that. And we do it, like you said, without a property tax, and that's because of the enterprises and things of that nature. Talk about how you present this budget to the mayor and council, because ultimately they have to approve the budget.
They do, and we spend a good bit of time at the council. It's grueling on them because I present it, every line item, every page. The budget's about 150 pages long. Present every line item, every page, show them all what's in the budget. And some of it doesn't change so much from year to year, but a lot of it does. And so basically we buy them lunch and we make them sit down and listen to me for 4 or 5 hours, go through in excruciating detail all the things that are in the budget, all the capital projects in particular. Like this year, we've got the last cell in our Subtitle D landfill. And what that means is when we build that cell, it's about a $6.5 million project. But when we build that, it's going to last about 13 years. But then our landfill is done. And so we'll have to either decide not to go back into the landfill business over the next few years, or to find another site, of which we've not gotten there yet. But we've got that. We've got some major work that we're currently doing in the Country Club Lakeshore Drive area that a number of, I'm sure your viewers are aware of.
That's right.
We will be through with that this fall. But what that is going to do is to ensure that we have adequate sewer capacity in the northwest quadrant of LaGrange to ensure that we don't ever, hopefully, dump untreated sewage into West Point Lake and keep our water clean. We've got that going on. We've also got some work going on at the wastewater treatment plant to replace some old gas engines that actually pump our treated wastewater from LaGrange all the way past West Point into the Chattahoochee River. It's a big project. We've had natural gas fired pumps for years, and we're replacing those with some electric pumps that when that work is done and the country club work is done, hopefully our sewer system will be in pretty good shape for several years.
Well, very good.
It's in all, that's about $15 million worth of work.
$15 million worth of work, just like that, right?
Just like that.
And all those things are needed to make the city operate as smoothly as it does. And you were alluding to some projects, Tom. I know that we have a number of other new projects that are, one project that's been completed and one project that's started. Talk a little bit about the splash pad over in Calumet Park.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that work we did at Calumet Park. We did it in conjunction with some neighborhood residents that really showed some leadership with respect to that. We did have the splash water pad put in, some new playground equipment. We redid the basketball court and the parking lot. We redid some pavilions. And one of the things that we've learned over the years, and there's a lot of academic research to back this up, is that when you build beautiful places in neighborhoods, it instills a sense of neighborhood pride and has a positive impact on crime, property, problems as relates to not keeping stuff up. And so what the city's interested in, we've talked to City Council about, as you're aware, when we went on retreat a few months ago, is that we really wanted to focus on creating beautiful places in neighborhoods and try to raise those neighborhood standards so folks will have a sense of pride about where they live.
That's right.
And that has a whole host of sociological benefits to it. So we've started there in the Calumet neighborhood. It's nice. We have not had a single problem with it. The residents every day, we've got it on surveillance, as you're aware, and I watch it every day, and it's just kids playing, having fun, and
that's right.
It's terrific. And we hope to replicate that in some other areas of LaGrange.
Well, great. It's a great place. I go by there, and as you stated, the kids are out there, the family members out there enjoying it, and that's what we want to see in the communities: a healthy, vibrant community, and people living, and enjoying life,
enjoying things.
Absolutely.
So we've got another project that's under construction right now over at Boyd Park.
That's right.
It's going to be spectacular when it's done. It's an $8 million project. We are very fortunate to have the benefactors of the Callaway Foundation.
That's right.
Helping us to afford this sort of thing. But using SPLOST funds and using a lot of donations from the Callaway Foundation, we're going to renovate Boyd Park, which was the old city pool, and there was a ball field out there, neither of which have been active for the last several years. But we are in the process of constructing a 2,000+ seat amphitheater. Plus, we're going to redo the pavilion building, build a nice town green where the pool used to be, the place where we could have, downtown events where sometimes the square gets a little crowded, chili cook-offs, whatever.
That's right.
We could have on a nice field that's going to be built there, and there's a 2,000-seat amphitheater with a beautiful stage building. We hope to attract national acts to come to LaGrange.
That would be wonderful.
And let everybody come out and enjoy the venue and have some fun.
Absolutely. And construction isn't going on in that.
Construction, the contracts have been awarded, and construction is going on now. We're looking forward to a completion date of sometime next summer.
Next summer. Okay.
So it's a big project, but it's going to be very, very nice.
Absolutely.
Something people can be really proud of.
I've seen the renderings of it, and it is going to be an awesome location, awesome theater there. So, Tommy, it's always a pleasure to sit down with you to talk about the ongoings of the city and just to kind of get the word out to our listening audience about the things that they can be a part of. And if anytime if they have questions for you or for anyone, we have open door policy. If you don't mind, give them a contact number if you don't mind.
Sure. Anytime you've got a question of the city, I can be reached, or Alton or anybody in that office. Like I said, we don't have doors. So 883-2016.
Okay.
Or if you go to the city webpage, which is lagrangega.org, there's a tab on there to contact your city officials, and you can find Alton or me or whoever you need to talk to. Ask a question, give a suggestion, whatever. You can get that through the city website, or you can call me at any time. We're very accessible.
Okay. Well, Tom, I want to thank you very much for sitting down with us today and sharing this information.
Glad to do it.
All right. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment. Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have guests that will be talking about something that is in our community that we hope that we can one day eradicate. I have sitting down with me now Josh O'Neill and Jennifer Price. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with both of you all. I think this is my first time having the pleasure to sit down with you all. And before we get started, if you don't mind, I'm going to just ask both of you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm going to start with the pretty part first, Josh, if you don't mind.
Well,
the
thank
pretty
you,
side.
Alton.
Okay, Jennifer, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, sir. I work for LaGrange Nursing and Rehab. It is a short-term and long-term care facility, and we do a vast care for anything from Alzheimer's disease, which that's what we're talking about today,
Okay.
to orthopedic patients. So I'm in the sales and marketing role there.
Okay, well, very good. Now, Josh, I come over to you, and if you don't
Thank
mind,
you.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, sir. I Josh O'Neill. I work for the hospital here, West Georgia Health System.
Okay.
And I'm the account executive for West Georgia Home Care, West Georgia Hospice. So my role is very similar to Jennifer's as far as just outreach in the community and physician offices, hospitals, places like that to let people know about our home health services and our hospice services. And there's also a program for our home care that deals with Alzheimer's as well. And so that's kind of the tie-in, I guess, with Alzheimer's care.
Okay, well, very good. And as we were talking before we came on, there's some important facts that we want to have you all talk about so that our viewing audience is aware of this. But it's going to be an event coming up, and you're going to tell us that a little bit later on. But let me just ask the question, why are you both involved with and I know that your roles are very similar, why are you all involved with the Walk to End Alzheimer's?
Personally, I have a grandmother that was just diagnosed with dementia. So, it hits home. And then I've had other family members that have actually passed away with Alzheimer's disease.
Okay.
So, and I believe that this is probably a very big, I guess, what would you say?
Just important
It's just very important to me because it's personal.
It's personal.
And then I have several friends, and of course, dealing with healthcare as a whole, seeing patients that come to our facility every day, it just hits home with me.
Very good. Josh, if you don't mind, share.
Yeah, very similar to what Jennifer was saying. My grandmother was diagnosed before she passed. And so, it kind of hits home for my family as well. And, a lot of doctors connect it genetically, so that, it's a part of your heredity that, you may develop Alzheimer's one day if it's, genetic.
Okay.
But also just there's a growing awareness in America about Alzheimer's, and pulling some of the facts that we were talking about before this show started, and looking at this, I mean, it's kind of eye-opening how many people actually have Alzheimer's. And just one fact is that every 67 seconds, someone in the United States develops Alzheimer's.
Oh my Lord.
And so, with being in the healthcare industry, you see it as, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, how big of an issue it's going to be. And if we can start awareness, start research now, rather than 10, 15, 20 years down the road, hopefully our future for us as we age, and for our kids as well, there will be a lot more advancements than there are now.
Absolutely. And you're talking about every 67 seconds someone is diagnosed with dementia. And we were talking before we came on, I understand that dementia is a form of Alzheimer's, correct?
Right.
And you also were bringing out a point, Josh, that was kind of astounding to me, that this is the 6th leading cause of death. Talk about that a little bit if you don't mind.
That's right, yes. It's definitely something that maybe 30 years ago, people didn't die from Alzheimer's or die with Alzheimer's because they didn't know that much about Alzheimer's. Now that there's more scientific research that shows there's clear examples, clear symptoms of Alzheimer's, it actually affects the brain physiologically, so that if they were to look at an Alzheimer's patient's brain, there's actual, I don't know what the word, maybe mapping is, deterioration of the brain that you can visibly see. And so, 30 years ago, it was just, that's grandma, she's,
Right.
she's crazy.
Old and she's
senile,
right. And
whatever the case is.
Kind
And
of brushed it off, right?
Right.
But
Right.
now there's an actual physiological aspect of Alzheimer's that you can see, and that's what doctors know more about now than they
years
did
ago.
years ago.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about because you bring up a very good point. You talk about, okay, grandmother's aged a little bit, and she's just a little out of her mind, which in actuality that's a true fact. What are some of the signs and symptoms of a person that may be entering that first stage of dementia? Can we talk a little bit about that? If you want?
Well, actually,
both of y'all just chime in.
Sure. I mean, it would be with just daily activities. Oftentimes, they kind of would get things backwards. Like if to sit down and eat breakfast, they might forget to eat. Maybe they'll eat just a few things, and then their mind just kind of shuts off. And or with, like I said, daily activities such as just hygiene issues, their mind just kind of shuts off, and it's really sad to see somebody that you saw maybe 10 years earlier that was alert, oriented, to deteriorate because of what's happening in the brain.
Okay.
And one of the things that we were going to be talking about later on is our website for alz.org.
Okay.
And I actually have it pulled up here on my iPad, the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's. And alz.org is a great resource for any caregivers or any patients that are going through or being affected by Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So the 10 warning signs are memory loss that disrupts daily life, challenges in planning or solving problems, difficulty completing familiar tasks at home, at work, or at leisure, confusion with time or place, trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationships, new problems with words and speaking or writing, misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps, decreased or poor judgment, withdrawal from work or social activities, and changes in mood and personality. And so all of us experience one of those.
Right. Sure.
Right. Stop talking about it.
Right.
But it's when it's more than one, or maybe three or four. That's when it
gets more serious.
My wife would say the changes in mood and personality would definitely hit home.
Right. Or you can imagine if you're driving down the road and then you just totally forget where you're going. I mean, you hear oftentimes on the news where someone has Alzheimer's, and and it's sad to see that they're still driving, but they find mom across town and she has no idea how she got there.
Oh my Lord.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the walk then, because we want people to come out. Talk about, when is the walk going to take place?
Can I show the signs?
You surely can.
To the public? If you see the sign anywhere downtown, this is our Walk to End Alzheimer's. The walk is September 20th. It starts at Vernon Woods, and the registration starts at 8 a.m. However, if you go to the website, alz.org, you can click on the map of Georgia, and then you'll find the Troup County Walk there. Sign up for a team. If you do that, you do not have to come for registration that morning. We recommend getting there, if you've already signed up for registration, getting there about 8:45. The walk starts at 9 o'clock. The ceremony starts at 9 o'clock. It's a short ceremony. It's only 15 minutes long this year. And so we'll start walking about 9:15. The walk is 2.3 miles.
All right.
It's from Vernon Woods, like I said, but and it also kind of goes up the hill and comes back around Buckeye Creek, or the name of the subdivision over there. But it's 2.3 miles. We get it in the morning, so it's very cool outside. Last year it rained a little bit at the end, but it's rain or shine, so we're walking.
Well, very good.
Yes.
What's your all's goal for this year, or have you all set a goal, Jennifer?
Yes, we have. Every year we always try to reach our goal or even extend it, and this year our goal is 22,000 this year.
All right. Okay.
So.
Perfect. Now, what would those monies go to, or what would those monies be used for?
So the Alzheimer's Association, our local chapter is the Columbus chapter, the Chattahoochee Valley regional office. It's mostly for caregivers dealing with Alzheimer's, with family members that have Alzheimer's or loved ones that have Alzheimer's. Their mission, I was going to read this if that's okay.
Sure.
Is to eliminate Alzheimer's disease through the advancement of research, to provide and enhance care and support for all affected, and to reduce the risk of dementia through the promotion of brain health. And the research, I don't really know that much about, but I know locally, I have some lists here that it speaks to the caregivers that are dealing with Alzheimer's. And some of the things are 24 hours, 7-day-a-week helpline that they can call.
Okay.
And you can find that phone number at alz.org. There's a support group that meets at Vernon Woods every second Tuesday.
Okay.
You can see Michelle Smith for that. There's comprehensive online resources and information. There's tons of resources on the website that can just kind of help with anxiety of dealing with Alzheimer's. There's clinical studies that people can look up for free called Trial Match to kind of compare what they're going through with someone else.
Okay.
There's educational programs for caregivers in LaGrange. Last year we had it at the rec center, the Troup County Rec Center, where it's a caregiver training. So it's daily bathing. It's 2 a.m. and person that you're caring for is having just some emotional distress. What do I do? And so it helps dealing with that. And then I think one of my favorite things is the Safe Return with Medic Alert. It's a bracelet that an Alzheimer's person can wear on them in case they kind of get out of a certain range.
Okay.
They would be able to find them in case they wonder.
Well, very good. All very good things. And I was going to ask the question, but you went ahead and alluded to. I was going to ask about how does this impact family members caring for someone with Alzheimer's. So I'm very glad you brought that out. As we close out, you guys, volunteers. If someone is watching and they want to get involved, how can they do that? And I know you talked about the alz.org is one way they can get involved. But if there's if somebody wanted to volunteer or make a donation, can they do that on the site as well?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yes, it's very user friendly. The website is, like Josh said, it's alz.org, and you go in and register, and then you can make a donation. As little as $5 up to, 100, 200.
There's no registration fee either.
Right. Yes, that's
there's
true.
no minimum amount to raise.
Okay.
Right.
Either. And it's all through teams is how they do it. You if you were to register your team, you're the team captain, and so you're the person that kind of runs whatever type of fundraiser you want to.
Okay.
And it's up to anyone, however they want to raise money. Some of the things I have here are the forget-me-nots that it's kind of like the Shamrock for March of Dimes.
Right.
That person writes a loved one's name down, and you can place it at your office or something like that. Okay. Sell these for $1.
Right.
I have buttons here that I was going to give you, if that's okay.
Right.
Well, thank you very much.
And then
we
we
got the
have
bracelets.
bracelets
Yes.
right here. Jennifer,
Here you go.
do you have the purple one?
All kinds of gifts over here.
Yes, that's right.
Tell me something.
So we have this one, which is the white color. It's we sell these for $1.
Okay.
And these Vernon Woods are doing. This is the what do you call it? The nylon or something type of material that they have for the bracelets, and those are $3. So that's just an example. I mean, some people have bake sales,
Right.
yard sales. These are kind of cool that someone at Vernon Woods has started doing. It's just something to personalize and hang on your door. They can do different letters as well.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah, so
And then we're always
just
looking
an
for
idea.
sponsorships too, as well. If as far as companies, we have several companies that are supporting us, and we of course West Georgia is one of the big companies, and then we also have Compassionate Caregiving that's a part of the walk, and Emory Clark Holder Clinic. Home Helpers. So if there are other companies that are interested in becoming a sponsor, they can contact either Josh or myself, and they can call LaGrange Nursing and Rehab. That number is 706-812-9293, or they can reach Josh.
all right. Well, very good. I want to thank both of you all for coming on today and talking about Walk to End Alzheimer's. And I know that this is the 5th year. People are going to come out and support it fully. You're going to raise your $22,000. You're going to exceed that goal. And hopefully you won't talk about me like this again when you come on the show. Well, thank you all very much for being on the show today. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes,
it was a
thank you for
pleasure.
having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.